Welcome to ValueVest Daily. Today we're diving deep into a company that's been making a ton of noise lately, SELLAS Life Sciences, ticker SLS. After a massive surge in its stock price, everybody's asking the same question. Is this a hidden gem in the biotech world about to break out, or is it just pure retail hype? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the data, the science, and the buzz to figure that out.
So it all kicked off on February 23rd. The stock just exploded. You can see it right here on the chart, this monster green candle. This wasn't some slow and steady climb. It was a sudden, massive spike that got the attention of basically the entire trading community. And that event, right there, is why we're here today, to get to the bottom of what's really going on.
And get this, we're talking a jump of over 13.7% in just one day. Now, in the wild world of biotech, where a company's whole future can change overnight, moves like this can mean big news is on the way. But, they can also just be hype and momentum. Our job today, it's to separate the real signal from all that noise.
So let's look at the actual numbers here. The stock shot up to $4.72, and the volume was just insane. Somewhere between 7 and 11 million shares were traded. That's a 35 to 40% pop above its normal average volume. It's pretty clear this wasn't some quiet move by big institutions. Nope. This was fueled by a wave of retail traders, and you could see it everywhere. StockTwits, Reddit, X, they were all buzzing.
And the vibe online was electric. You saw these simple little phrases everywhere, like, here we go. In the retail world, that's basically a signal fire. It's a rally cry that says, hey, we all think this thing is about to take off. And that creates this powerful snowball effect, The classic fear of missing out, FOMO, kicks in, pulls in even more buyers, and just juices the stock's momentum even more.
All right, so to really get our arms around this whole situation, here's our game plan. We've just talked about the initial surge and all the social buzz. Next, we're going to dig into the company itself. Who is SELLAS, and what are they actually working on? Then, we get to the main event, the absolutely critical make-or-break REGAL trial. After that, we'll crunch the numbers on the bull versus bear case, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with our thesis and a potential action plan. Okay, so we've set the stage. Now let's peel back the layers and look at the company itself. Because with any biotech stock, if you don't understand the science, you don't understand the investment. So who exactly is SELLAS Life Sciences?
So, at its heart, SELLAS is a clinical stage biotech. And that term, clinical stage, is super important. It means they're still in the R&D phase, they don't have any products on the market yet. Their entire mission is focused on cancer immunotherapy, which is this really incredible field that tries to use a patient's own immune system to hunt down and destroy cancer cells.
SELLAS really has two main things in its pipeline. The star of the show, the one everyone's watching, is called GPS. Think of it like a training program for your immune system. It's a vaccine that targets a protein called WT1, which is found all over a bunch of different cancer cells, but not really in healthy ones. So GPS basically shows the immune system a wanted poster for WT1, training it to attack any cell that has it. Their second drug, SLS-009, is what's called a CDK9 inhibitor. It's a different approach that tries to shut down the machinery that cancer cells use to replicate like crazy. It's shown some good data, but honestly, all eyes right now are on GPS.
And that brings us to the single biggest thing driving all of this attention, all of this speculation, the Phase 3 REGAL clinical trial for GPS. For a small company like SELLAS, the result of this one trial is, well, it's everything. It's a total make-or-break moment. So why are the stakes just so ridiculously high? Because a Phase 3 trial is the final hurdle. It's the Super Bowl of drug development before you can even ask for approval to sell your drug. If they succeed, it could mean billions in revenue, a huge partnership deal, or even getting bought out by a pharma giant. But if they fail, well, their lead drug could become worthless overnight and the whole company's future would be in doubt. It's a true binary event.
Let's break down how this all-important trial actually works. First, they're looking at patients with acute myeloid leukemia who are in their second remission. This is a tough group. The cancer is very likely to come back. Second, they randomly split these patients into two groups. Third, one group gets the experimental drug, GPS, while the other group gets whatever their doctor thinks is the best available therapy. And fourth, they watch and see what happens.
And the single most important goal here, the ultimate bottom line, is overall survival. It's as simple and as powerful as it gets. Did the patients who got GPS live longer than the ones who didn't? Yes or no? That's the gold standard in cancer trials, and there's just no arguing with it.
And this right here shows you just how close we are to the finish line. The trial is designed to end after 80 events happen. An event is just a sad way of saying a patient in the trial has passed away. As of their last update, 72 of those 80 events had already happened. We are literally waiting for just a few more before they can unseal the data and see the results.
So, looking at the timeline, back in December when they hit that 72 event mark, an independent committee took a peek at the data and said, yep, keep the trial going. That's usually a good sign. It means there were no huge safety red flags. Because of that, everyone is now expecting the final results sometime in the first half of this year. And if that data is good, they'll be sprinting to the FDA to file for approval.
Okay, now here is a really important point that has all the bulls excited. The fact that we're still waiting for those last few events might just be fantastic news. The trial seems to be taking longer than expected. And in a trial where you're measuring survival, a delay in reaching your target number of deaths, well, it often means the people on the experimental drug are living longer than anyone predicted. It's a subtle but powerful hint that GPS might actually be working. Okay, we've got the science, we've got the trial design. Now it's time to talk about what this all means for the money. How should we be thinking about valuing this company, depending on which way this trial goes? This is where we got to look at both sides of the coin, the bull case and the bear case. This table really lays it all out. In the bull case, let's say there's a 30 to 40% chance of this happening. The trial is a home run. The stock could rocket to somewhere between 20 and 40 bucks. But then there's the bear case, and you have to respect the fact that most phase 3 trials do fail. A 60 to 80% chance of failure would probably crush the stock down to its cash value, maybe $1 or $2 per share, and the company would be in a really tough spot.
This chart really paints the picture, doesn't it? From today's price of around $4.70, your potential downside is that little drop to $1.50. But your potential upside, it's that skyscraper all the way up at $30. You're risking about $3 a share for a potential gain of over 25.
This, my friends, is what investors call an asymmetric bet. The potential reward is just multiples and multiples bigger than the potential risk. And these are the exact kinds of setups that smart, speculative investors are always on the hunt for. Situations where the payout for being right is just way bigger than the cost of being wrong. So, after looking at the hype, the science, the trial, and the valuation, it's time to put it all together. What's the final verdict on SELLAS? And how might you think about this as an investment? Is SLS a buy right now? Here's our thesis in a nutshell. We see SLS as a high-conviction, speculative value play. High conviction because the science makes sense, and that lag in the trial is a very juicy clue. But you've got to pay attention to those other words, speculative, and most importantly, tiny portfolio allocation. This is not something you bet the house on. It's a calculated shot. And this chart shows you exactly what we mean. For an all-or-nothing bet like this, you're talking about a tiny sliver of your total portfolio, right? Maybe 1 to 3% max. The other 97% stays in your core, safe stuff. This way, if the worst-case scenario happens, it's a small hit you can easily handle. But if the bull case comes through, that tiny little slice can still make a huge positive impact on your overall returns.
And let's be crystal clear on this last point. Finding an asymmetric opportunity and sizing it correctly is smart, speculative investing. It is not gambling. Gambling is risking a lot to win a little. This is the exact opposite. It's risking a little for the chance to win a whole lot. It's about finding those rare spots where the odds are skewed in your favor.
So it all comes down to this one question for you to think about. The stock has already run up a bit. So do you look at any pullback as a chance to get in before the data drops? Or do you sit on the sidelines, give up that massive potential upside, but wait for the certainty of knowing the results? There's no right answer. It really just depends on your own stomach for risk. And of course, we have to say it, this is all for educational purposes. It is not financial advice. A high-risk play like this absolutely requires you to do your own homework. So what do you think? What's your play here? Let us know your take in the comments below. We love reading through them. If you got some value out of this deep dive, please do us a huge favor and subscribe, like, and share ValueVest Daily. It really helps us keep bringing you these daily learning opportunities before you put your money to work. And one more thing, if there are any other high-risk, high-reward stocks you're looking at that you want us to break down, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear what's on your radar. Thanks for watching.